friend of mine, Steve Lusk, invited me to his home and my wife to listen to a successful businessman talk. His name is John Vaughn. He had built a successful business around the world, and I was intrigued. We came and listened to John Vaughn, and I was open to a new opportunity. I talked to my wife, and I got her buy-in on it. They gave me some recordings to listen to. One of those recordings said, if you do this, commit yourself to it. In 5 years, even if you make no money, you'll be a different person. I bought that promise. 5 years later, I had done everything they asked and more, but yet I had no success with it. They asked me to read all these books by some of the best people in the world, and that changed me. I was hungry to do new things. And I felt that I didn't need new mentors. I just had these books. At Raytheon, I found an opportunity to found a network across the corporation, Raytheon as a corporation. I went to fancy hotels, spoke in front of people. It seemed that my development in Toastmasters was mirrored by my success. However, I totally alienated local leadership and eventually walked away from the company due to other circumstances. I decided I wanted to build a real estate company. I went to one of these things where they want to charge you a lot of money for information. I decided I don't need that. I'm smart. I got a degree in computer science. Why should I need that? I figured out how to take all my money, all my savings, put it into a corporation, which is really crazy. Bought 20 apartment units. I didn't know about something called financial sheets. I thought I did, but I understand that things need to make money for you from the beginning, otherwise you should get rid of them and cut your losses. I was successful at taking a $100,000 investment and turning it into a $200,000 loss. I remember talking to the employee helpline at Raytheon saying, I'm in a safe place and I want to talk. I remember realizing there's no one there to help you get out of debt. I remember pleading with one of the creditors from one of the banks that wanted to charge me 18%. And I told them the honest truth. I remember getting on a plan to get out of debt. I remember not having enough cash flow to make it. I remember finally realizing I had to call each creditor and saying, I can't pay you. And I had to fight tooth and nail to get out of debt. I also read something by Robert Kiyosaki. He said, people seem to get stupid when they get money. That's me. I showed up at the Greater Dayton Real Estate Investor Association, and I said, I've proven to be stupid. Stupid. I'm hoping that if I hang out with smart people, maybe I could be successful as well. I volunteered freely to run their educational program. Got all the debt eliminated. Started building wealth. Now I own about 4 apartment units. Actually 4 houses, nice little houses. I'm spending in the next couple months about $15,000 to renovate them, which I happen to have in cash. It's amazing to turn around. A few things I've learned is, number one, knowledge without guidance is dangerous. Arrogance is a path to poverty. And if you want to have great success, you need a mentor. Some of the things I've learned in my growth. 2020 has probably been the pinnacle of my success this year. I remember I set a plan for the year at the beginning. I've never done that. Actually write down the plan, what you expect to do in a year. And it seems like I'm on schedule for it. That's been exciting. But I must say, at this point of success, I do have some great fears. Some significant fears. I've spoken about fake news earlier. I've spoken about the rise of censorship. I remember John Vaughn talked about his business in China and how he had this business that just appeared because someone sponsored someone who quit, who sponsored someone who quit, who sponsored someone who quit, who sponsored someone that went to China and built a huge business. I found out that in China, they have to manufacture everything they sell in Amway in China, even the ingredients. And I thought, wow, that's kind of cool. Sounds like a transfer of technology to someone else. I've heard about more of that. I started wondering, who cares about America anymore? They're all going over to China, and the globalists are taking over. And during the Obama administration, I didn't see anything change. And then a man stood up and said, I want to make America great again. I want better trade deals with China. And I believe those in power were shocked this man became president. Never ran for anything. They set themselves to take him down. They took down Michael Flynn first because he had the goods and the intelligence. He was a maverick. He was part of that administration. They had to take him down. And Sidney Powell cleared him. We've had the Mueller investigation. They even tried to impeach him during the beginning of a pandemic and then blame him for not managing it well. Amazing. One thing that Pence did was he just said, hey, why don't we just bypass all the government controls and just get things done quickly like a business person does. That's one reason why we have a vaccine coming out next month. It's amazing. But what's so amazing to me is that we have the fake news, we have censorship. But by the way, One News Now just got censored because apparently they published something that was not correct according to YouTube on coronavirus. Now we have widespread fraud in our electoral system. In 5 different states, the pattern seems to be in a democratically controlled city, we'll kick out all the Republican observers. Let's do that. We'll not verify signatures on these mail-in ballots. And then it seems ironic that we have votes just showing up. Some showed up in Arizona, maybe about 7,000 votes, narrowing it down to 4,000. I work as a poll worker. Before we leave that precinct, you have to make sure that all the people that came in to vote matches the number of votes you have. I'm appalled. Now, regardless of who you think should be president, you should be concerned about the potential fraud in our electoral system. And it seems ironic that a lot of the patterns we're seeing in the United States seem to mirror those of Venezuela. I never thought I would hear that we would have fraud in our election system and not know who really won. I remember hearing about that in Iran. I'm glad I'm in America. Now I wonder. You have a decision to make. You can ignore all this stuff and pretend it's not an issue. Put your head in the sand. But I think as Americans, we all need to be concerned about our electoral system. I've had great success through Amway. But the future is in our hands. And as representatives, as members of our country, we need to actually take action.